The Sexiest Parfums de Marly Fragrance. So when I started this channel, you and I did a series called Sexiest Up. And that series was basically where Sandra Solomon Fragrance shared her thoughts on the sexiest men's fragrance from a brand or a collection of men's fragrances. So we actually already done a Sexiest of Parfums de Marly, but back then I only had 6 or 7 or something like that. Since then I bought a ton of them, so I thought it was time for us to do a new one. So the reason why this series exists is for you guys to get a woman's perspective on what she thinks is sexy. So without further ado, let's do this. So let's start with one of my fragrances for life, Parfums de Marly Layton. So let's do a sort of a flashback to when you first put your nose to Layton and you were like, I don't like this. This is good, but it's not my favorite. And I was like, everyone loves Layton. I know she will come around and love it as well.
So annoying.
What happened?
You were so annoying. What happened was, I had this in several videos and I was like, yeah, it's good, but it's not that good. And then we did a blind sniff on my channel, I think. And I was blind sniffing different kinds of fragrances. And when I came to Layton, I didn't know it was Layton. I think I said, this smells like the perfect boyfriend. Everyone will be jealous of you if you have a guy that smells like this. So basically
I tricked you and now you love it. So based on sexiness, how are you going to rate Parfums de Marly Layton from 1 to 10?
So this is kind of weird because a fragrance can be extremely good and smell extremely attractive without being the sexiest one. I would say that Layton is not crazy sexy. It's definitely, it has sex appeal. It's very sensual, and when I think of the perfect boyfriend, that is someone who is sensual, who you are attracted to, who smells sexy to you, but the perfect boyfriend is so much more. It's someone you feel safe with, someone you feel good with. So actually Layton only gets an 8 when it comes to sexiness.
So let's move on to Layton's sort of a brother, Layton Exclusif. They are really not the same. So how would you rate Layton Exclusif on sexiness from 1 to 10?
I think this is very different to the original Layton because this is very woody and it doesn't have that sweetness that you find in Layton, even though Layton is not a very sweet fragrance. This is very sophisticated. It's very elegant and masculine. Although I don't think it's extremely sexy. This is attractive. It definitely smells like a man. But when I smell Layton Exclusif, I see like a safe man who dresses well, who knows his ways and carries himself in an elegant way. He is well spoken and so on. This is maybe on the sexy scale, a 6.
So let's move on to one of my favorites for going out. This is a fantastic head turner of a fragrance and it's basically a super smooth oud with a big dose of sweetness. This is Parfums de Marly Haltane. I know you think Haltane is a great men's fragrance, but how would you rate Haltane from 1 to 10 based on sexiness?
Haltane has it all. It has oud. This is not the dirty kind of oud. No. It's the soft and elegant kind of oud. But that oud together with that sweetness, I think it's praline, is really sexy. This is a 10.
So next up is another one of my fragrances for life. This is Percival, and Percival to me is fresh done right. But according to you, is it sexy?
Fresh fragrances, when they are good, because you know I'm very picky with my freshies, can smell extremely attractive on a man. And a fresh fragrance always makes you feel good and energized. When it comes to sexiness, I need something more. So to me, this is an extremely good freshie. I really love it. But on the sexiness scale, I think it's somewhere between 6 and 7. I'm gonna say 7 because Percival is that good.
So the last time we did this, I believe Herod was the king of sexy. That was your absolute favorite of all of the 6 or 7 or whatever I had. Herod is basically this super rich, super sweet kind of tobacco with Parfums de Marly's signature fantastic vanilla. How do you feel about Herod?
Herod is intoxicating, it's addictive. This is like the best fruity sweet tobacco you can find, and that together with the Parfums de Marly vanilla, this is so beautiful, this is so good, and it's still extremely sexy. So I think I'm gonna give it 11.
So next up, another one of Parfums de Marly's freshies. This is basically like a citrusy and musky kind of freshness with a slight hint of something that is sort of floral. I think Galloway is absolutely phenomenal. But how do you feel about Galloway when it comes to sexiness?
I absolutely love Galloway, and I love it so much, and I have said this before, because it comes to you in layers. You get a fresh layer, you get a floral layer, there is something powdery, there is something musky, and this is like transforming all the time you are wearing it. So you can have it on your body for hours and you get different scents every hour. And that's the beauty of this one. You know I'm very into powdery fragrances. Still, this is a freshie, so to me this is not on the extremely sexy scale, but this is, I would say, if Percival is a 7, this is at least 7.5 because this has the powderiness.
So next up, a masterpiece. This is Parfums de Marly's Oajan. This is warm, rich, absolutely beautiful. How do you feel about Oajan, and how would you rate it from 1 to 10 based on sexiness?
Kuhuyan is extremely good, and there is something with that sweetness. It's almost fruity, sweet, spicy in the most intoxicating way. This is extremely sexy, so this is actually, it's also an 11.
So from Oajan's richness and warmth to another one of Parfums de Marly's freshies, which is Sedley. How do you feel about Sedley?
Sedley is an incredible summer freshie, and this has, it's citrusy, but it's also, I would say, slightly powdery, musky, and it has this most wonderful soapiness over it. You know I don't even like soapy fragrances, but there is something in the soapiness in Sedley that just makes me go nuts. So actually, this is a 9. And that's incredible because it's a freshie.
So moving on to one of Parfums de Marly's leather-focused fragrances. This gives me quite strong Tuscan leather vibes, but I'm gonna say Parfums de Marly's Godolphin is a lot more mass appealing. So how do you feel about Godolphin, and how will you rate it from 1 to 10 based on sexiness?
This is almost unfair to all of the other fragrances, because when you add a leather note to a fragrance, it immediately becomes sexy. And this is leather focused, and it's not any kind of leather. This is crazy good leather. So I'm gonna say that Godolphin is definitely an 11.
So from Godolphin to Greenley, and Greenley still is pretty much unrivaled when it comes to the scent of apple in perfume.
Yeah.
The apple note in Greenley is something I feel is absolutely fantastic, and I really don't have any other fragrance with the scent of apple done this way. How do you feel about Greenley, and how you rate it from 1 to 10?
You are so right about the apple note in Greenley. It's really unique, and it really does smell like fresh apples. That is incredible. But to me, an apple is not a sexy fruit. It smells really good, and you can really use this to any occasion. Can I say really? One more time, just one more time.
One more time, yeah.
Yes, this is really, really good, but it is not really, really sexy. So this is only a 5.
And now another one of my fragrances for life. This to me is an epic blend of almond with vanilla. It's a bit powdery. Some describe this as sort of a metallic. I think it's just a masterpiece and something truly unique. How do you feel about Pegasus, and how will you rate it from 1 to 10?
I so agree with you that this is so good. I love the almond note. I love that it's a bit powdery, the vanilla. I think it's also a bit white floral, and that combo is incredible. It's not just incredible and beautiful and attractive, it's really, really sexy. So this is a 10.
And moving on to Carlisle. So the opening of Carlisle to me is definitely not the most exciting part, but when this thing dries down, it becomes truly beautiful, extremely classy, and I do feel this has something quite unique to it. How do you feel about Carlisle?
I usually say that Carlisle is like Herod's cousin, or older, richer, fuller brother. I think Carlisle is amazing, and it doesn't have a tobacco note, but I sense something tobacco-ish about it. I think Carlisle is really good. It's also quite sexy, but it's not up there with Harrod, so I would say 9.5.
So moving on to Parfums de Marly's Kuhuyan, this is another leather-focused fragrance, but I'm gonna say that this, without a doubt, is not as mass appealing as Godolphin. As a leather freak, I think Kuhuyan is a really nice leather fragrance, but I know this is not as sexy and mass appealing as Godolphin. How do you feel about Kuhuyan?
I think Kuhuyan is a really great leather scent, but I haven't smelled it that much. There is something with it that doesn't get me all excited. I don't know if it is that I haven't smelled it that much that I've fallen in love with it, or if it's just not my kind of fragrance. I think it smells good. It's very elegant, very sophisticated, even though it's not this versatile, mass appealing that Godolphin is. But maybe it's not that high on the sexy scale, even though it has leather. So I would say maybe 6.5.
And now a fragrance I gave a perfect rebel. That's a 10 out of 10 in my review of it. This is Parfums de Marly Kalan. I'm gonna link to my review of it above, so please do check it out. How do you feel about Kalan, and how are you going to rate it based on sexiness from 1 to 10?
I think Kalan is very good. I think it's an elegant fragrance. I think it's attractive. It makes you smell interesting. I know that there are a lot of women besides me who really think this smells good, and I know that you are getting a lot of compliments when wearing. And this one really is sexy. So I'm going to give it, I mean, it's not up there with Godolphin and Harrod and the other ones that I have given high ratings, but it's definitely 9.75.
Whoa, okay. So we have 5 fragrances that you gave a 10 or above. We have Pegasus, Haltane, Godolphin,
Oajan and Harrod.
So I want you to rank them from number 5 to the absolute sexiest Parfums de Marly fragrance.
Okay, as you know, I love white floral fragrances on a man, and since I think Pegasus has some white floral touch over it, I think Pegasus is amazing. It's extremely good and extremely sexy, but it's on spot number 5 here.
Okay.
And then we have the one with oud and praline, and that is Haltane. On spot number 4, extremely sexy, but not in the top.
So number 3.
Number 3 is the leather beast, and that is Godolphin.
Okay, interesting.
So we have Oajan and we have Harrod left. You know I'm a sucker for sweet fragrances. Sweet fragrances on a man is irresistible and extremely sexy. Both of these have sweetness. Oajan is sweeter than Harrod, but Harrod is still a sweet fragrance. I think that I'm quite sure of which one I love the most and which one that is sexier to me. Harrod has something over it that I can't put into words, that is just special with me. I have memories with it, and I think it's an incredible fragrance, and it is still the sexiest.
Harrod is still king of sexy when it comes to Parfums de Marly. That was really interesting. Thanks for doing this. Which Parfums de Marly fragrance do you think is the absolute sexiest? Please put that in the comments. Please like this video. Thank you. I really do appreciate it. Make sure you check out Sandra Solomon Fragrance. I'm gonna link to her channel in the description below. Sub to her, sub to me, and I'll see you in the next one.
Bye.